So, guys, would you mind just telling me your names?
Steve Allen.
Steve Allen.
Carolyn Allen.
And you guys own Allen Automotive here. And how long have you guys had this shop?
I've had this one here about 5 years.
5 years. And you guys have always lived in the area?
I have.
Okay. So you both have had an experience with Bigfoot.
Well, it was something.
Yeah, with something.
Yeah.
Right. So who saw it first? Or who had an experience with it
I would
first?
guess that would be them.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about some of the stuff you were telling me with your family?
I've never seen it personally, but my brother, my little brother, he had an encounter when he was real young. And then later on, we had a pen that we had like 5, 6 dogs in, and they were all. We got up one morning, and they were all dead. No blood, just their necks broke, and they were just dead.
I've heard them all tell the same stories. When I came in, I've heard them all tell the same stories, and even heard her brother tell the story when it happened to him. And I thought it was crazy myself. When I first come into the picture, and they was telling me all them stories back when me and her was dating and everything. I'm like, okay, and shoot. I was out one night. Me and her just had started dating. We hadn't been dating, I guess, maybe 6, 7 months. And I was over at her house, and I just went to go out for a walk one night and walked up the driveway, and I was just standing up there in the moonlit. It was a pretty moonlit night. And I was standing in the driveway, and this thing, I don't know what it was, but it just stepped off of the bank right there, right in front of me. I kind of, it's almost like I startled it as much as it startled me. It wasn't expecting me, and I wasn't expecting it. And it just kind of looked at me like, well, take a look. That's the last time you're gonna see me. He didn't try to do anything. It was big, it was huge. Kind of hard to explain it. It smell. It had a smell.
What did it smell like?
It's hard to explain. It's you couldn't explain the smell unless you smelled it. I mean, there's not nothing out there that you could go by that'll make this smell. I mean, it would. I guess if I had to put it in a category of being in the woods a whole lot in my life, it would be maybe a wet bear or something, kind of, if you ever smelled that smell,
I have smelled that smell.
Yeah. But man, it wasn't aggressive at all. It wasn't mean. It was kind of well, for what it looked like for when you seen all these big matted knot hairs and stuff all over it, and if you would look at it, you would think that it was just nasty, but it wasn't. It was almost like it done its hair like that. It was. You just had to see what I seen. I mean, it had nice hands, and.
When you say nice hands, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, it didn't have great big claw nails like you'd see in a horror film. It was just, it wasn't nothing like that.
Like human hands?
Yeah. Well, no, not exactly human hands, but maybe human hands. There was just, it wasn't no big gargly thing. It was something that was, whatever it was, it lived in the woods, but it wasn't nasty. If I can explain that in that sense. It lived in the woods. You could tell it lived in the woods, but it wasn't a animal.
What color was it? Could you tell?
No, I mean you can see it, but to put a color on it, it was like it had a white, green, brown. You know, it was
Like it had multiple colors?
maybe, you know,
Yeah.
kind of
Like some dogs do?
Yeah, like that. You know, it was just the way it was. It blended with its area. It was like a chameleon, man. I'm telling you, it just wherever that thing was at is what it looked like. And to me, you know, that's what it put me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting detail.
Yeah.
How tall would you say it was?
Shoot. Maybe. Well, I'm 5'11", and I was looking up a good bit at it, and so it was at least 8, 9 foot tall, at least.
And how close were you to it?
Oh, probably far from me to her. Maybe.
So you got a good look at it.
Oh yeah.
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 Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And were you scared?
To death.
Yeah.
But it eased too because it was friendly.
Yeah.
Or maybe it didn't want to cause a commotion because, like I say, I think I caught it as much as it caught me, you know, and the house was just I guess the house would be 2,000 to 3,000 foot down there, you know.
So you were just going on a walk. Was it like around the property or?
Yeah, just down the old dirt road. Back then it was just the old dirt road that went down to the house, and that's just all that was around that area was just simply that dirt road. And when I topped the hill and come up to the flat where it went down the driveway, I was just walking. And there used to be a great big mountain there, and it just stepped out as I was walking. It was, like I say, kind of run into one another. And he's like, "Well, you better look, old boy, because this is the last time you're going to see it." And it is the last time I seen it.
Wow. Remind me where you said the general area was you saw
Just
it?
over in what's called Knucklesville. Used to be what's called Knucklesville over there. Auraria area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what road?
It'd be right around in Ben Higgins and 9.
And 9?
Yeah, Ben Higgins
Okay.
and 9.
Okay. Yeah, I may go over there and just look around. I know you said it's very different now.
No, it's nothing like it used to be.
Yeah.
Nothing resembles what it used to be.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way to even see the way it used to be because it was
Right.
just all mountain and woods, you know, and that was it.
Now it's like subdivisions or?
Oh yeah.
How long ago was this when you saw it? What?
33 years ago.
So the 80s, not early
It would have
90s?
been 92.
Okay.
92, 93, somewhere right there.
Okay.
Somewhere right in there.
But you said you had kind of grown up with this creature around, or something
Yeah.
like that around.
Yeah.
When did you guys first notice it? And could you tell me a little bit about your brother's encounter as well?
We had like a playhouse down in the woods, and he was down there kind of by himself, playing in the playhouse. And he was squirrel hunting is what he was doing with a BB gun.
Gotcha.
And he shot it with a BB gun because it scared him. And he said it chased him.
Really?
Yeah.
And did he describe it as big as Steve described?
Yeah, he said it was big.
And you said it kind of snuck up on him while he was playing. How close did he say how close he was to the creature?
No.
Okay.
He didn't say.
Did he describe anything about how it looked? Is it basically the same as what Steve was saying?
I don't remember really, because we were little when he sang. I remember we had to go to the neighbor's house and pick him up because he was scared to go back outside. So,
Wow.
What do you do?
yeah.
I'll wait till he gets off the phone to do anything else. That is so fascinating. So fascinating.
And that's about once a year, I'd say very, very sorrowful sounds it makes. I don't know. It is nothing like it. I mean,
Like a howl, kind of a howl sound.
yeah, but very almost like a dog.
Mm-hmm. Like wailing.
Yeah.
Well, back in them days, man. Back in them days when there was nothing around, you would hear different animal sounds, but the animal never would be there. You know, I still to the day think that a lot of times when you heard animals back over in there, that it was that thing and it could mimic whatever animal sound it wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because you would be in there in the yard, you'd be there in the yard, and you would hear this big wolf. And they, you know, that area over there wasn't prone for great big wolves. We had a lot of coyotes and stuff, but you'd hear a big wolf, you know, and they doesn't sound like a wolf, but a wolf. But I think that thing can mimic it because you never could see it. You never would see a wolf, and you'd always hear them sounds, man. And back then, I ain't heard them in years and years since the area built up. Everything that used to happen around there is just gone. It don't happen no more. It's just. You'd have to. Yeah, they was telling me one night. They was telling me one night about something that just come down and hit the. They used to live in a mobile home there, and it hit the side of the trailer. And her daddy used to tell me, he said it actually rocked that trailer. When it hit that trailer, it hit it so hard, and he said that night that it let out that scream. You know, and it rocked. It hit that trailer. They had did something. I can't remember exactly what he said. They had did something that made it mad. What was that he was saying? I'll think of it here in a minute. But he did something. I just happen to remember Larry telling that story. They had did something or changed something, and it made that thing mad. What we called the thing.
Right.
And that's the night he hit the trailer. It made it mad because he hit the trailer.
I remember that, but I don't remember what it.
I wasn't around at that time. I was just one of the stories of the thing.
Right. So, your family experienced this thing for years, right?
Oh yeah, they used to torment them before I ever come around.
So, when do you recall when it started, and do you recall when it stopped?
Like I said, it's hard to place a timeline because we were little.
Right.
But it started coming around less and less as we got older. And then I guess as the buildings started, people started building and the subdivisions
drove it out.
It kind of just quit altogether.
Interesting.
I ain't heard it in what? Probably about 15 years.
The one and only time I really ever saw it, heard it was that night. I mean, I've heard things out in the woods, you know, that had to be something else because the animal that was making the noise was never there.
Right.
You know, and I mean, I spent a lot of time in the woods. So all of my family do. We go hiking way back up in the woods. We pack in for 4 or 5 days, you know, and I've packed in Elkmont and stayed 5 days in the woods. I mean, just as far back in the wilderness as you can get, and I've never seen nothing like it again. So.
Well, let me ask you this. Around that area where you grew up and where you saw this thing, did you guys ever notice any, like, weird stick structures, like where things had like either bent trees down or twisted up sticks and made little I don't know how to describe them other than just little structures, little like stick signs?
Not that I can remember.
Okay.
I mean, which I never thought about it. I never.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not looking for it,
pay attention to it.
Exactly.
I mean, you going out in the woods all the time. Back then, when I used to go out in the woods with her brother and stuff all the time, you'd always see, you know, little saplings and stuff broke over and moved and everything. You wonder who's been in here.
Right.
Who's been over in here. You know, couldn't have been nobody in there. But yeah, I've seen stuff like that, but never made into a distinctive form. But you've seen saplings and stuff broke, and no, it was not an animal or nothing that broke it. It looked like another human in there did it. But
Yeah. I've seen a lot of trees like twisted off at like head level.
oh yeah,
Like broken, you know, it's just an odd break.
Yeah.
yep, yeah. The only other time I seen them just the woods destroyed down through there, like at night I told you about when my mom and dad seen the eyes. You know, that's the only other time that I ever witnessed anything other than what you call out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
And that's when it went down through there and just, man, for a mile, just destroyed the woods down through there that night.
Yeah. Let's tell that story because so this was in a different location.
Oh yeah, this was in Harmurchie, and it would have been 1980. Maybe Thanksgiving 1979, 1980, somewhere right there. We'd moved out to Harmurchie, a great big farm out there. It was about 670 acre soybean farm, and it was the only house on that soybean farm. And my dad was the, what do you call it? He was the overseer, the land taker. You know, he rented it and just watched everything for the people that owned it.
Right.
But it was the only house there, man. I mean, it was like paradise, 670 acres of one house, man. Do anything you wanted to do. And I guess we'd moved in. We'd been there. Well, actually, we was painting the house. I mean, we was in there painting and cleaning, getting ready to move in. That's what it was. And we'd built a fire in the and the chimney sweeps. What that's the name I was trying to think. Have you ever heard of a chimney sweep? Chimney bird?
Yeah.
They'd build a nest in the chimney up there, and I guess it caught on fire right up in the top. And so, old man, he's on top of the house, and we're up handing him buckets of water up there to go up there, and he's pouring water down the chimney. And my mom, she let out this scream, and everybody, you know, startled, turned around, and just right out of the yard, I guess it was, I don't know, probably by a farm here in the car sitting out there. Just right down there at the apple tree, there was a couple of apple trees that come down. There's one dogwood tree set right down there at the end of the yard. And right up out of the apple trees, he was standing in between the apple trees down there in that little field in that dogwood tree. Whatever it was, but it had great big eyes, and the light was hitting just right in the eyes. The eyes looked to be about that big around, but they were way off the ground. I mean, they were 8-9 foot off the ground. And my dad, being the way he was, he seen it, and he turned around and hollered at it, and, you know, told whatever it was needed to step into the light. And, you know, just, it wouldn't move. He said, I'm going to tell you one more time, step in the light. And he threw down with that 45, shot right at it, and that gun jammed. Never jammed ever in the whole 10 years he carried that gun. Never ever had a problem with that gun. That thing turned and just tore a path down through the woods, down through there. The creek was probably good 3/4 of a mile back down there, not a mile, but at least a half a mile straight back through the woods right there. But everything it touched, from trees that big around, just up as high as them boxes right there, just all the way to that river, it just destroyed everything down through there. Just broke it off. You had no problem following the path that it went. And like I say, they were broke off as high as them boxes there. And whatever it was tall. So it destroyed everything all the way to that river, and when it reached the river, it was just gone. That's where the path ended. Like it went in the river and just went down the river, you know. But he come off the top of the house as that thing was running down through there, and he run to the edge of the light, and he threw another clip in that gun, and it fired the whole clip. It never messed up again. That was just a great story. Everybody's always told that story their whole life, you know. But whatever it was, you couldn't see it, but you could see the eyes, you know.
That's wild.
It was,
and when you say you could see the eyes, did they look like normal eyes? Or?
No, they was kind of a reddish gold. I don't know if when you looked at them, we was all sitting there looking at them. All of us. It was me, my dad, my mom, my cousins, my sisters. Everybody seen it. It ain't like one or two people
Right.
seen it. The whole everybody's seen it.
And you say red? Were they
No,
glowing?
I guess, yeah. I mean, sort of. I guess when that thing was turning or looking at everybody in the yard, when the light would hit it, it'd be red, gold. You know, the eyes just kind of flickered in the light, kind of changed. Like every time its eyeball would move, it'd show a different light. You know, that's how good we could see the eyes, because you could see the reflection changing in the eyes, and it was tall.
Wow.
It was tall.
Wow. I wanted to ask you more about the situation with your dogs. The dogs that were killed. You said it seemed to have like jumped over the pen.
Yeah, the pen was not damaged at all. It was. I don't know how something would have got in there because it was a tall pen.
How tall was the pen?
I'd say at least an 8-foot fence.
Oh yeah, because every time Larry would build a tent, a big dog kennel, it was at least 7 or 8 foot tall. I mean, he built many of them.
Yeah.
Now that was built before I ever came around, but he built many after that, and they were always real tall fences.
And
Yeah.
what kind of dogs were they?
They were just family pets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of them was German Shepherds, Sooners. They always had dogs like that. I mean, they never really had. They had
They
some
was
poodles when I come around, but most of the time they had German Shepherds and what you call
Yeah.
Sooners and stuff like that.
Bigger dogs, yeah, about mid-size.
So that picture I showed you of the deer with its head twisted, is that what they all look like?
Pretty much, yeah. It's like it had maybe broke their necks. There was no blood or nothing. But it's hard to describe. I mean, they were looking backwards over their back.
Yeah. Just like that picture I showed you.
Yeah.
The head was behind it.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something to me when we talked before about a puncture wound. Like maybe it had drank their blood.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you describe that a little
They
bit?
were drained. I mean, they was nothing.
I heard Larry say, her daddy was
It
saying
didn't make a
something.
mess. It just killed them and left them. I mean, and it's like they were drained of their blood, and just
That's kind of what I saw. I mean, there was no blood.
yeah, and it just. I don't remember there being a pattern of the way they were laid out. It's
daddy-
like it killed them where they stood.
The way her daddy explained it is it wasn't mean to the animal. He literally, I mean, when you'd hear Larry talk about the dog and the way they was laying in there, it was like whatever the thing was, that's what it lived on, was the blood of the animal. And it would get to what it had to get to. That's the way it did their head, and then it laid the animal down. It wasn't mean to it. It didn't throw it or anything. It was laid down nicely. Larry said, he said, strangest thing you ever seen in your life. He said it wasn't mean to the animal.
Never heard them scream, never heard them bark. We just woke up and they were gone.
5 of them.
Yeah.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
There was 5 or 6 of them.
Now, did you see any footprints of the creature in the pen?
No. That I can remember. No.
That is a weird story.
Yeah.
But I've heard it a lot. I've heard that story a lot.
Well, I mean, you figure if a dog sees something, they're gonna bark, and if they're being killed, they're gonna scream. I mean, that's kind of like what the noise is that you hear when it's like a sorrowful a animal dying. Yeah. Kind of like a sorrowful noise. It's like the saddest sound you ever heard.
Wow.
Not no more. I mean, you never hear it no more.
No,
Right.
I know I ain't heard it in at least 15 years.
Well, and I'll tell you another thing. Back then, 30 years ago, you never seen bear over in that area. Now there's more bear than there's ever been in that area. Like it used to dominate that area, and then it moved out, and the bigger animals moved back in. But I know it sounds weird, but that's the way it really is. I mean, we got more bear now than we've ever had.
And coyotes.
And coyotes, man. It used to be 30 years ago, there wasn't a lot of coyotes. There wasn't a lot of stuff around. There wasn't a lot of animals roam the woods like they are now. I mean, there's more animal activity in the last 15 years than there's ever been in that area.
That's interesting. Huh. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Is there anything else that I'm forgetting or missing?
No.
I don't think so.
No, that's the one and only time I ever seen it. And whatever I witnessed when I was a kid, and just the stories they told about the dogs and it hitting the house and the holler, that Larry would say that holler that it did.
The scream.
You'd have had to heard him tell that part.
I don't know how to describe it
Yeah.
other than
So-
very sorrowful.
A very sorrowful cry.
Yeah.
I think this is associated with legends of banshees. People talk about banshees screaming.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say that sometimes they sound like women screaming and things like that, or crying. I'm going to stop this for now, but there is a clip of audio online. I'm going to see if I can find it, play it for you, and see if that's what you heard. Okay. After I turned my camera off there, I played a series of Bigfoot vocalizations for the Allens. The one they really resonated with was the Ohio howl. This is an alleged Bigfoot vocalization that came out of Ohio in the 90s, and I'll leave a link to that below. I hope you enjoyed this interview, and if you did, I can, and you can, thank my wife for this one. She brought her car into their shop to get it worked on and struck up a conversation about Bigfoot. One thing led to another, and I had to get their interview on tape. They were so kind and generous with their time. I snuck in there early one morning before things started to pop off in their shop. And so that's why there's really not much left after what you saw there, because people started to come in and we couldn't really do the interview and jam on Bigfoot the way that we were. But if you want to see this video in its context, check out chapter 1 of I Believe in Bigfoot Witnesses. There's that link, and please, my friends, like and subscribe, share it with others. And for those of you that are already here along for the ride, thank you so much. It really means the world. Your support, your stories, and your care for this subject is why I do it. And thank you.